Hello there, welcome to today's very special Film Club webcast. I'm Rico and I'm here with Film Club young reporter Finn.
Hi, I'm Finn and we're back at the BFI South Bank for the 2012 London Film Festival. We are here with Alexander Abela. You're the screenwriter of Zarafa. Hi Alex.
Hi Alex, thanks very much for joining us. Before we go any further, I'd like to say a big shout out, big hello to Chadderwood Primary School and Southborough Church of England Primary. Now we're here today to talk about Zarafa, the animated adventure, and you can see it at this year's film festival and also cinemas next year. Very exciting. So if you have any questions for our guest, email, text, tweet on the address you see in front of me. Should be rolling across your screen now.
It follows the adventures of a boy called Mackie who escapes from a slave driver and runs away with a warrior and a mad scientist in a quest to take a young giraffe to the King of France. This is based on a true story, Alex. Where did you first find out about the famous giraffe?
Wow. Well, actually, the story of the giraffe is quite known in France. And when we wrote it, there was an exhibition about her. So that's where it all started. And we thought it was an amazing story to write about. Just this adventure of how she made her way to France. Because you have to imagine that nobody knew what a giraffe looked like in those days in France. So she arrived in Marseille in the south of France and had to walk from Marseille to Paris, because there was no other way to get her there. So people were discovering this creature walking through the countryside and wondering what it was. And it created a hysteria in France. People were going crazy, and there was what they called the giraffomania, where people were just going crazy about giraffes.
Like you're having a giraffe, aren't you? Kind of thing.
Well, they were dressing up like giraffes. They were the fashion of having long necks, and a lot of antique plates had the giraffe on, and so on. So she was very well known in France, and you can still see her. She is still in France. She's stuffed, but she's in La Rochelle in a museum over there. So.
Oh, okay. Well, we've actually got one of our film club colleagues from Marseille. Actually, he walks home still. I'll tell him about this. The film looks beautiful with amazing scenes set in the desert. Which films inspired you when you were writing it?
Well, for the desert scenes, the adventure side, I have to say, it was mostly Lawrence of Arabia. And when we wrote this film, we thought it would be fantastic to have it in CinemaScope. So we wrote it with the idea of having the wide screen, and that's really where it came from, Lawrence of Arabia.
Brilliant. That's a really unusual response. Wasn't expecting that. We've got a first question from Tanvi at Newnham Junior School on the hotline. Thanks very much for your question, Tanvi. Let's hear it.
Hi, it's Tanvi from Newnham Junior School. I'd like to know how hard it is to write a film for little children if you're much older. Do you try to use memories from your own childhood? Thank you.
Thanks, Tanvi. So Tanvi asks how hard it is to write films for little children if you're much older.
Well, hi, Tammy. Yeah, that's a very good question, because it's not until we wrote the film and that people have been asking this question that I start to have to think about it. Because when we wrote it, we didn't really write it for children per se. I mean, we wrote a story that we believed in and we thought it was amazing. And I realized that at the end we did look into ourselves. I mean, if you were to write a story for children and deliberately make it for children, I think you're going the wrong way. And you really have to write it for yourself and maybe call upon the child which is in you. So even if you're growing older, I think there's always a child in you, and that will never go. And I think that's what made us write it.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant.
Why did you choose them to travel in a hot air balloon when in real life they travel by ship?
Well, the little boy story is pure fiction. So the giraffe story is true. And she did take a boat from Alexandria to Marseille. So we needed to add our additional story to the true story, which is the story of this little boy who really wants to bring her back to Africa. He promises her mother that he will bring the giraffe back. And so we needed to add the adventure and so on. And the balloons, to be correct, the balloons in those days could not navigate. They would always be hanging on a string, and so they would only going up and down. So the idea was to create this character, this mad scientist, like you called him, and say that he was the first one to cut the string and cross the ocean.
Yeah. Well, it's quite a striking image as well. Now, Alex, we're wondering, you were born in Coventry, in the Midlands area of England, where we have a lot of film clubs. I just wondered why you moved to France, or how come you ended up writing a film in French?
Actually, the original screenplay was written in English.
Okay.
I co-wrote it with Rémi Besançon, who is the director, one of the two directors of the film. He doesn't speak English, so we kind of collaborated, and I would end up always with the British version, and then we would do another version, which would be the French. But it turns out that it's a bit of history of France, so it was more natural that it would be a French production rather than a British production. And
yeah, so it wasn't really a conscious decision to English or French. It was just the story lent itself to.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
What do you like about giraffes?
Well, the giraffe in itself, I mean, that's one of the motivations for the story. The giraffe in itself is an amazing creature. And we did, looking into the child in ourselves, we did think that it's one of the most appealing creatures that exist. And I think one of the most sold toys in the world is Sophie the giraffe. Every baby has that giraffe, and it seemed natural to have this a very appealing creature. I mean, much more than others.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a similar story that could have been written, which is about the first rhino to arrive in England, about the same time.
There you go. There's your sequel, man. Yeah.
Thank you. Now we've got a voicemail from Grace, aged 11, from St Joseph's Catholic Academy. Thanks for your question.
I'm Grace Kavanagh. My school is St Joseph's Catholic Academy, and I'm 11. My question is, on average, how long does it take to write a script? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Grace. So she asks, average length of time to write a script.
Well, hi, Grace. Well, that really depends. I don't think there is a rule, or I mean, I've written scripts that would take a month and others that would take more than a year. In the case of Zarafa, it took the better part of a year to write, because you have the first version and then you have to go back and rewrite and readjust and so on. And even in this case, we wrote several versions and we ended up doing the initial version. So sometimes you still. There's a bit of weight.
You need to go there to come back to the original version.
And you have to convince producers, and because making a film, you're not on your own. There's a whole team behind, and a lot of money involved, and so on. So you need to convince a whole group of people and remain true to your original idea. So it's a difficult process.
Yeah. Remain true to the original spark. Great. I know it took a long time to get Zarafa into the cinema. How did you feel when it was finally finished and got shown here at London Film Festival?
Well, for me, it was amazing, because I was born in Coventry and this is my country, and to have the film screened in my own hometown is just wonderful. So, and I was very proud to be able to present it here. So it was a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Well, talking of the London Film Festival, if you want to get involved but you can't get to London, you can run your own film festival at your school by following our top 10 tips we're about to show you now.
Hi there, my name's Kofi, I work at FILMCLUB, and today we would like to share with you 10 top tips of how you can run a one-day film festival in your school.
Top tip 1, how to program your film festival.
Think of a theme for your film festival. Has there been anything exciting happening in your school this year that you could use as a theme? Have a look at the range of themes that we have on the FILMCLUB website and you may get some inspiration. Remember to think about your audience and choose films that everyone will enjoy.
How do you anticipate movies that the audiences would be interested in?
Well, I think the first thing is, do they move you? And if they move you, you can anticipate that that others will have maybe not the same response, but that there'll be a way to gear into the film. And I think from my perspective, when you're actually programming, you're looking for a very broad range of experiences to offer an audience, because even though we say audience as if it's one thing, we know that there are many people with many different tastes and interests, and so it's very important to have something for everyone in the festival.
Top tip 2, choose a committee.
Get together with other keen film clubbers in an official film festival committee to to share the work of organising the festival. Some of your jobs could be taking tickets on the door, giving out popcorn or snacks, showing people to their seats, taking photos and introducing the films.
Top tip 3, marketing your film festival.
Firstly, decide what you're going to call the festival before you start promoting it. The Film Festival Committee could get some helpers to design posters and flyers. You could even have a best film poster competition. Do you have an intranet at your school? If so, this is a great place to advertise. You could even design a logo or ident for this. Look up what an ident is if you're not sure. All the big film companies have one. Assemblies are also a good place to tell the school about your festival.
Top tip 4, fun activities.
Think about what you can do to make your festival extra special. How about costumes and decorations to tie in with your theme or film choices? You may want to film the festival and make your own short film or animation about the day. Perhaps you will have a competition running for the people who come along. We love review writing competitions.
Top tip 5, snacks.
Popcorn is always a favourite snack, but you could also think about special food and drinks that may fit in with the film. For example, chocolate with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or exotic fruit with The Jungle Book. Will you charge for snacks? Could be a good way to earn money for your next festival.
Top tip 6, create your space.
Think about where you might hold your film festival. Talk to your film club leader and see what is available. It could be in the school hall or a classroom, so why don't you put up some posters and arrange the seating to give it a real cinema feel.
Top tip 7, invite a special guest. Hi Sam.
Hi Cenk, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Good, nice to be here at the festival.
Does anyone in the school know someone who makes films or has a role in the film industry? Perhaps they could come into the school to talk about what they do and show a film. Or what about a person who's linked to the film that you'll show? For example, a zookeeper if you show Madagascar, or a science teacher to answer questions about space if you show E.T.
Top tip 8, introducing your films.
It's important to warm your audience up and prepare them for what they're about to watch. Could you find out a fascinating fact about the film before it's screened? Or tell your audience why you've chosen the film and tell them a bit about it, but don't give away the ending.
Top tip 9, share your thoughts. That film was amazing.
Was it good? Glad you enjoyed it.
Have a discussion with the audience to share what people thought about the film. This is often the most important bit of a screening. What will you ask the audience about the film? Try to avoid questions such as, did you like it? Do you want the audience to rate the film or describe it in one word or name their favourite scene? Have a review writing competition in your school for the film festival. Film Club can send a prize.
Top tip 10, share your success.
We want to hear all about your festival and we'll share the best on the Film Club blog. Remember to take photos or film on the day and then write up a short summary. We hope you find these tips useful to get the best out of running your one-day film festival. We really want this to be a fun, enjoyable day where you get to see the wonderful world of cinema.
Welcome back. We're still here with Alexander, the screenwriter of Zarafa. Now, I know everyone who saw the film last Saturday at the London Film Festival wants to know, is there going to be another Zarafa film? Are there any plans for a sequel?
Well, I would love to. I really would. I mean, the experience on this one was amazing, and writing it was just wonderful, and seeing the characters come to life. And so, yeah, I would love to have a sequel, and now it's a question of me trying to convince the producers to do that. So, fingers crossed they will go ahead with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well as Zarafa, this week Film Club have been watching Tim Burton's new film, Frankenweenie. Would you like to do more animations one day? Maybe with Tim Burton, and why?
Well, I don't know. Well, I would love to do more animation films. I'm also a film director, so I'm more into live action. But this experience was wonderful, and yes, I would like I said, I would like to do a sequel. And yeah, sure, I would love to work with anybody. I mean, the question is not who is the other person, is how well you can collaborate with that person. That's much more important. And yes.
So you kind of never know how it's going to work out with someone until you're in a room together and you start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not because someone is so well known that
Yeah.
it's going to work out. So the human factor is very important.
Absolutely. And you were talking when we were off camera about the difference between making an animation film and the different satisfaction that you get as opposed to live action.
Yeah, well, when you're writing a story in live action, you have pretty much a clear idea what it's going to look like, and I mean, you do get surprises, positive surprises when you actually get the actors in and everybody's putting their own energy into making a film. So the creative side keeps on and it keeps growing. But when you write an animation film, it's really from your own imagination, the whole the world of the animated world, and so when you have someone else coming in and drawing it, like Jean-Christophe Lee, who is the other director, it's amazing how they take life, and suddenly you see Maki, the main character, the giraffe, Hassan, and so on, all these characters coming to life, and the whole story coming out. Yeah,
brilliant.
Well, that's all we've got time for, Alexander. Thanks for coming to join us here, and all your hard work in making the brilliant Zarafa.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you, Alexander. It's been brilliant.
Thank you.
Now, we've been talking all week about films at the London Film Festival. That includes Frankenweenie, which we're massive fans of here at Film Club.
And we have got an amazing competition to tell you about.
Yep, you can win a special screening of Frankenweenie. It's really easy to enter. You've got till next Wednesday. Email us in your entry and tell us about a teacher that's inspired you and tell us why. It doesn't have to be a film club teacher. And for all details on that competition, just go on to filmclub.org and type in Frankenweenie competition on the website there, and it'll tell you everything that you need to know. But in the meantime, thank you very much indeed. Thanks, Alexander.
Thank you.
Nice one, Finn.
Thanks. Good luck, and tune in for tomorrow's webcast at 3:30. We'll be interviewing Andy, who's in the animation team for Frankenweenie.
Brilliant. So we're definitely finished now, are we, Finn? Yeah? Come on. Come on.
Roll the credits!
Cheers.